recently, and I encourage everyone to go buy it. It's called Our Unfinished March. And I'm curious why you thought this was the time to write that book.
Yeah, because I really do. I wrote it because I think a couple of reasons. One, I think our democracy is really at risk. We in America, I think, tend to take for granted our democratic system, our democracy. We tend to take it for granted. And when we see things happen in other countries, we say, well, that couldn't happen here in the United States. And I think there's a lesson in history that we need to look at it. You look at Europe in the 20th century. We saw fascism and communism rise in Europe in the early part of the 20th century, not because fascism and communism were strong, but because the defense of democracy was weak. Right. And unless we have a strong defense of democracy here, I think we can see our democratic institutions really eroded. It doesn't mean perhaps we'd have a dictator. I don't know. But our elections, 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, could be rendered almost meaningless. And so I wanted to talk about those issues. And what I wanted to do in the book was to give people some historical perspective about, what it took for various groups of people to get the right to vote. And it's always interesting when people read the book and say, well, I didn't understand that the first group of people to seek the right to vote were white men who didn't have property and who were denied the opportunity to vote. That was the first group that organized and said, we want the right to vote, white men who didn't have property. So we talk about the history of the acquisition of the vote, kind of where we stand now with regard to the threats to our democracy. And then the last part of the book deals with some concrete proposals about how we can improve our democracy and ensure that this American ideal, that the people rule, can actually be something that is true here in this nation in the 21st century.
Well, it's a great book. I've read it and I recommend it.